at the ballpark at Geyer after a very chilly Saturday non-district game versus the Lake Dallas Falcons. Welcome, Coach Pat Watson.
I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
And I think I wasn't monitoring the temperatures during the game, but it dropped below 40. It was like 39, 40, I believe, was the high.
Yeah, it's actually warmed up from the JV game earlier this morning. And, yeah, it's cold. The wind is cold. It's one of those things right now where after the game last night and the way that the game ended, it's a case where we talked about it, possibly because of the weather and everything today of canceling this. But we, as the guys, we needed to get out on the field again. We needed to play the game. We didn't need to sit and wait and think about things until Wiley on Tuesday. We needed to get back out to compete, put the uniform on, get some cuts in the cages, see some smiles on some faces, and it was good today.
Yeah, Coach, you're referring to the game against Allen last night. We saw the weather coming in. You and the Allen coach made a decision to start at 4 p.m. You get to the bottom, moving into the bottom of the second inning. The sirens go off. Your team's up 4-0. Then you go into about a 3-hour delay.
Yeah, it was, we're all the forecasts said sometimes it could hit, around 7 and everything. But actually what got us a little bit earlier was they've got a weather app within, I think it's got to be within 10 miles if lightning strikes are, somewhere around there, and maybe 15. If there's a lightning strike within that distance, they've got to come off the field. And, they pulled us off. We had momentum going. I mean, we were taking it to them. We were playing great baseball. And, we had to go in and sit for 3 hours plus. At one time we were moved underneath the Allen Eco football stadium because a tornado warning and everything. So it was quite adventurous. And then we go back out and we go from where it's short sleeves. Everybody's trying to put a coat on and putting sleeves on. Yeah,
it goes from I believe 86 degrees at game time to when you resume play. It dropped right around 60, I think, 62, 25-degree difference. I was a little surprised with JT, your starter, sitting for 3 hours. He comes back out, actually did a tremendous job, pitched got you to the bottom of the seventh, and he came out, but pitched a fantastic game. Any concern bringing a pitcher back after sitting like that?
We looked at the pitch count when the sirens went off. He was right at 26 pitches. And 26 pitches is basically a good little warm-up, going in there. If he would have been any more from around 40, that's when the soreness and everything can set in, and probably they're done. But the 26 is just hey, I'm going to go out and throw a little bit and then come back and go again. Because you see this all the time sometimes in smaller colleges where they play doubleheaders and that with relievers throwing about 20 pitches and sitting, coming back and doing another 20, and then they're done. So we had our concerns. We asked him how he felt. He said yes. If not, we're going to have to go with someone else. And going back to last night too, man, the winds that it was sustained, blowing out of the north at 30 plus. I asked Coach Parma. I've never been in a situation with the wind like that. I never have, and so it was that part was a little different.
We were talking as you came into the press box here at the ballpark at Geyer. Sports transcends so many life lessons. We were talking about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. A lot of the fans last night could sense the victory going to that seventh inning, and then it was snatched right out of the Geyer hands. What was your message to the ball club, after that game?
I think there's really not much to say. It was a lot of, I told them we can't let this one loss turn into a loss tomorrow, or which is today, and we can't let that loss turn into 2 more losses. We've got to go on. And then I sent them all a text message last night, told them that they're a great baseball team. They're 16-6-2 at that time for a reason. I texted the Allen coach and told him congrats. His kids never quit. They're down 7-1 and with 1 out, and they still fought. And he gave our guys a great compliment by telling them a lot that we're a great team. And I think we basically outplayed Allen for 13 and a half innings, and we had a bad 20 minutes is the way I look at it. And if you were to ask anybody who was there, they would probably tell you that we are by far the better baseball team. And I told the guys out here a while ago, before the game, there's a reason that they dogpiled. We were the favorites going into Allen. They knew that we're a good baseball team, and that's where we want to be, where people celebrate when they do get a victory over us. And I told them that's a compliment to the guys. That's something to be proud of there.
Yeah, you mentioned when we first sat down to do these interviews that this season it would be everyone's Super Bowl. Geyer has a target on their backs, and that is so true that they were celebrating like they just won a World Series type game.
Yeah, and that's that's why baseball is it's a game of failures. It can make you feel good one time, and then the next day it can slap you in the face and go, here you go, we're going to bring you back down to reality. Kind of some life lessons is not to get way too high, but you can't get too low. And it's the teams right now, when you're down, is how well that you can get right back up off of your feet.
And you split with Allen this past week. Like you said, you bounced back up right here at the ballpark at Geyer against Lake Dallas. A gritty 1-0 game. You use 4 pitchers. You start with Bristol Carson. Then you roll out Josh Crabtree. Tyler Sampson had an efficient, I think, 6-pitch inning. And then you close with Carson Osmer. Like you said, getting a 1-0 victory just builds some confidence going into next week against Wiley.
Yeah, we're getting some. These are guys that hadn't got to pitch very much, and there's been a couple of them. That if one of the starters goes down or has to leave early in a district game, some of these, Josh Crabtree or Bristol Carson are going to have to step up. And some other guys are just seeing in a relief role what they can do as well. Get some guys some work and try to put some pieces of the puzzle together. And we're going to try to find a Game 3 starter if it gets down to the playoffs. And that's what we're trying to figure out right now in these non-district games of who could we roll out there if we came down to a Game 3.
Yeah, we were talking up in the press box. It's really great. We have these non-district games to get some extra reps in for even some of the other players on your ball club, just to get out on the field and simulate live game action versus practice. Is just going to get your ball club ready for the postseason.
Yeah, and take for example Carson Osmer, sophomore. He's probably one of the better pitchers of the sophomore class, and he hasn't got to pitch much because he's been playing third base for us. Well, Kate Branham's our other one of our number one pitchers, but Cade hasn't been at third base very much, and you got to get him some work. I got to get Cade some work at third base in case I have to bring Carson Osmer in the pitch. If something goes down with White Gaines at second base, got Daniel Thompson's got some work in the same way with all the outfielders, the way we do some rotating around. If something happens, these guys have got some work in as well. So and it's, even at catching, Jack Massey has to come in and he does some stuff. Playoff games can be hot out there. Something could happen. Hey, I need a break here and there. Step up and seeing what the job is. And this is what these games are for, is to get the non-starters ready to go for the playoffs. And to get them their reps. So because the playoffs, the bench gets a little bit deeper, where you got to use probably a little more people than you normally do in district games, where it's one game per every 3 days.
What's the scouting report on Wiley? You're on the road Tuesday at Wiley, big road trip. I think it takes about an hour and 15 minutes to get over there, and then back here at the ballpark on Friday.
Yeah, they're. I think what I've heard there is that they've got one little sophomore left-handed pitcher. That I've heard they're a dangerous team because it's a team that you can't take lightly. It's a team that you should go over, that we should go over and take care of our business and get a W. But it's one that's going to drive me crazy because it's one that we should win both games. We can't. We got to take them like they're the best team around. We got to play them that way. We'll see what that goes. I'm glad we're playing them this week. But like I said, we got to go over there. We got to take them serious, and we got to get after it.
And before the game today, we had a great ceremony. We honored our veterans, family members of your Geyer Baseball Wildcats. We had 11 veterans out there pregame. It was a nice touch to a chilly Saturday. Surprisingly, a pretty good crowd here.
Yeah, it was. I looked
weather.
up here and I was like, it was almost like a district game up here with the amount of people sitting in the stands, and it was very nice to have the veterans out there and hear some of the stories, and you can put it into a timeline of when they served and what they probably saw of what they did, and with the memories that they have, and the things that went on. We could probably sit down at a table and let them talk for about hours after hours and hear some stuff that would kind of eye-opening, I bet. But it was very special. The person out here singing was special. And like I said, with the Lake Dallas, he enjoyed it, and and they said, hey, let's do it again next year as well. So, it's a compliment. Both teams came out here and played. After two big district games last night. Lake Dallas played the Colony. Got a split with them, and so they're one game out of first place in their district, and that's a big rival, a big district game. And us and Allen, and so it was. Teams came out here, and on a cold Saturday, and both of us had to come out here and compete.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great tradition to get this non-district Lake Dallas Geyer, Coach Ryan Howard. I believe he's in his second year as well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and I know he wants to build a strong program there at Lake Dallas. So, yeah, that was fantastic. Now, will you go on the road and play at Lake Dallas next season?
He said right now it doesn't matter to him. So
okay,
I don't know.
Good.
It's whatever happens.
Awesome.
So.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us today. Good luck, and go get them at Wiley this week.
All right, hope to see everybody there.